Okay, so today we're going to be making 2 new planets, and then we're going to get one to smash into the other one and blow it up like this. So yeah, that looks quite cool. So we're going to start off by making a new composition, and we're just going to call it Star Bang, because why not? We're going to have 1920 by 1080, which is 16 by 9 ratio, 10 seconds long, and that should be good. Okay, let's get rid of caps lock. So we're going to start by building our first, well, actually let's throw the background in, just like that. And we'll scale it up like that, and I like to just move this background to the corner to get like a more detailed nebula rather than having it just in the center, because that's what everybody does. Okay, so now we want to make a new solid, and we'll just call it Planet 1. Click OK. And we're going to add a fractal noise. We're going to do this all ourselves because it's not that hard. Turn up the complexity to 20. Turn it to dynamic twist. I actually quite like this one. I've been playing around with this. Do that. You can just muck around, do whatever you want. I'm going to alt-click evolution, time times 150. So that's taking the time and multiplying it by 150. And doing that and creating a cool swirly-whirly pattern. And I quite like that. But we're going to take it a step further by duplicating this layer. Going into transform, scaling it up, clicking screen, turning the contrast up a lot, turning brightness down, and I'm actually going to switch it to dynamic progressive so we get an even big new look, and actually I'm going to scale it up even more just so you can see like really the different parts of this design. And I quite like that, so we're going to select the 2 layers. We're going to go into layer, pre-compose, and we're just going to call this planet number 1. Okay, so we've got that now, and we're going to add the CC sphere effect. No, we're not. We're going to add curves. No, we're not. We're going to go into this composition. We're going to add curves to each one. Let's make this one a bit brighter. Turn up the orange and the reds a bit. Pull up the green just a bit and pull down the blue to create a cool looking orangey look. And for this one we'll go pure red. Get really burny, fiery look like that, and it's sort of bleeding out, and we're going to pull that down. And now we've got a really cool fiery, glowy, and even a bit of tints of blue in there and greeny turquoise colour. I actually think that looks really cool. So now we've got this. Now we can add our CC sphere. Going a bit quickly here, but this is all being done in loads of tutorials, so it's not that hard. If you just watch it, gonna turn that to that, so you still get a sense of that. Turn the specular up a bit because we're gonna put a lens flare over there in a moment. Okay. And I'm actually going to go into rotation, and I'm just going to rotate it, not that way, not that way, that way, and then I'll just keyframe this to go time times 5. So it's really slow and quite subtle, but you can see that just creates a bit more for it. And you can really see that turquoise that I really like, so I like what I've come up with for this planet. So that one, we can leave that alone for now. I'm going to make a new solid, call it planet number 2. Okay, and I always like to put hashtags because that's a good way to do it. Hashtag 2. Throw on a fractal noise. Let's try just dynamic this time. High complexity always looks good, and we'll only do 1 layer just because it's not that difficult to add another one, and we'll keyframe the evolution. We'll do time times 200 to give it a bit of variation from the other one. So we've got this now. Then we'll add a curves, and I'm thinking a blue color. Okay, so now that we've got our 2 planets, we're gonna grab the first one, and we're gonna close effects, go into transform, and we're going to just move the position along a tiny bit to there and release caps lock. So it's over here now, and we're going to do the same with the first one, just in the opposite direction, like that. Okay, so now that we've got that, what we're going to do is we're going to take our first planet, which is our glowing orange one, and we're going to go into position, and we're going to keyframe it, and we're going to move for like 3 seconds, and we're just going to drag it so it hits our second planet, like that. So now we have the planets sliding along and hitting each other. So now we need to actually blow up these 2 planets on impact. So we're going to use the shatter effect that we've used before. And we're going to go into shape, we're going to use glass, and we're going to ramp the repetitions up as much as we can. So there are loads and loads of pieces like that, so 200 seems to be the max. And then we're going to just run over to when the planet actually hits, so around here. And we're just going to move the origin to the second planet's side, so it looks more like a collision. So you can see this is the origin here. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to go into physics, turn off gravity because it's not actually there, and then we're going to go into force. So I'm going to turn the radius down to 0. Okay, so they seem to hit there, so we're going to go into our planet 1, our shatter. We're going to go 1 frame before, in fact. Okay, so this is actually, so we're going to keyframe the radius, then we're going to move it to the next frame and ramp it up as much as we can, and also the strength wants to be a lot higher. Okay, so we've got our shatter on the first planet sorted, so we've got the planet just scrolling across, spinning around. Oh god, the RAM is just killing it. Right, let's just wait for this to load along, and eventually it will reach the smashing point, and then we can play it in real time. Come on, hurry up. Right, and there it smashes. I guess you get a sort of sense of what it looks like if we just speed things up a bit, like that. Bam, that blows up, and it's quite a powerful explosion. Right, now we want to do it with our second planet, so let's add on shatter again, and let's click rendered, so that'll explode that. Shape wants to go to glass. Repetitions wants to go to 200. Can't even drag it. It needs to go that far. And then the origin, we'll just move that along a tiny bit to the edge of the planet, like that. Right, and then we're going to go into physics, turn off gravity. And I'm actually going to turn up randomness for this one because I want the pieces to go in a more random direction so it seems more explosive. Right, then we go into force 1, turn off that, and we wait. Find the frame before this one explodes, so this one. Click the keyframe, then move along and turn it up to 5, and we want to turn up the strength as well. So now they both explode on impact, but we want to make the explosion a bit more snazzier, so I'm going to grab a firecracker explosion, place it in the middle, and I'm going to screen it onto the background. So now we have that, and then I'm going to drag along to find the place where the planets have the initial explosion, which is there, and we'll just put it there. So now it's a bit more explosive. Okay, so now it looks a bit more explosive. Okay, so we're nearly at the explosion, just slowly. Right, there we go. That looks really explosive, but the firecracker is a bit slow, so I'm going to go into time stretch, and I'm actually going to slow it down, so hit 75. So now we have a faster firecracker, so a more explosive explosion. So you could stop there, but we're not going to. We're going to add a shockwave effect to the center of these planets. So the idea is this is one collision, so you only need one shockwave. So I showed how to do this in another tutorial, so I'll do it as fast as I can. You want to make a composition with the same width and height, and you want to pick a shockwave color. So I'm going for yellowy, like that. Okay, and then we're going to click the ellipse tool by holding this down and selecting the ellipse, double clicking it, and then we have a perfect circle mask, which then we're going to click Control D to duplicate, which then subtracts it. If we now open up both of these masks, we can turn down the expansion on this one, so we have a ring, and I'm also going to turn down this one because we're going to feather it, and we don't want it to go outside the border. So we're going to feather the first one a tiny bit, just to give it a bit of blur on the edge, and then we're going to feather the first one a lot more, like that. So that looks really good. And then we're going to make it a 3D object. So then we can you control the orientation in transform. Like, nope. I never ever get it right. Like that. So it can expand outwards. So to get it to expand, we need to turn down the scale to that tiny, and then we're going to click scale. And actually, we're not going to do that yet. We need to drag it to when it actually becomes important. So there, gonna make it a bit shorter. Click scale, keyframe it, and then by around here. Maybe a bit closer because we want it so it's like there. And now we can scale it up to be like, okay, so we also need to get this thing to fade out, so I'm actually gonna end it here as well, so that'll do. Go to the first frame, click opacity at 100%, and then we'll go here and we'll turn it to 0. And I'm gonna grab these keyframes and I'm gonna click F7, no, it's F9, and that just adds an ease, so it looks a bit smoother. Which basically just means it'll slowly speed up, then in the middle it'll go as fastest, and then towards the end it'll slow down. Okay, so we've got our shockwave, we've got our firecracker. Only thing left to do now is add a lens flare. So we're going to go new, solid, let's call it lens flare. We'll make it the comp size, and then we will make it black. Okay, and then we'll add optical flares or null light factory, or just the built-in one. I like optical flares. Go into options. For optical flares, you might not need to do this. Add more of a glow. I'm going to get rid of all of the irises because I don't really like them. And I'm going to add more of a spike, like that. Okay, I'm not worried about the colour. We'll just drag that over here. Make it a bit bigger. Screen it. Not exclusion, that looks weird. And now we have a light for our scene. So let's watch it. Okay, so got the planet moving in, and then boom, it explodes. I like it. I like that. I think that's really cool. Let's watch it again. So it just slowly circles in, and then bang, just massive explosion really quickly. So if you enjoyed, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, and tomorrow hopefully I'll be releasing a tutorial on everything we've learned with the planets in space and putting them, oh god, into your movies. Until then, see you next time.